David, we're going to get straight on today with some good news.
The good news, the best news since 2016 when we voted for Brexit, I think. The best start to a UK column news in a long time. Nippy's gone. Nicola Sturgeon has resigned as Scotland's First Minister. Here we have the BBC reporting it. At that point, not exactly clue when she'll actually leave, but there was a hastily arranged news conference in Edinburgh, and she was standing down. A source close to Ms. Sturgeon told the BBC that she'd had enough.
It was the live stream itself, David, was very Jacinda Ardern up to a point. I have to say she wasn't backing down too much. She said that the problem was that really the 2 years of COVID policy, which was really her height of her powers, was those 2 years. This had all caught up with her because it was heavy pressure. But the other problem was that the SNP conference was coming up in a couple of weeks, and her leadership is so powerful and so strong that she was concerned that members of the SNP wouldn't have the ability or the self capability to make their own decisions, and whatever decisions she made about what the future policies of the SNP should be, that would override everybody else in the SNP, and it would be really tricky for them. So it was time for her to go. It was quite an amazing press conference.
So let me see if I understand this. She's going because she's just too good.
That's correct.
And she's going because COVID policy was such a success, and it's nothing to do with the whole Schrodinger's rapist problem, where she can't decide if the male rapist is in fact a woman because she doesn't have enough information. That's nothing to do with it. The fact that people are leaving the SNP in droves, the fact that they're joining, goodness sake, Alex Salmond, Sleepy Cuddle Salmond is actually benefiting from this politically, and the people are just closing the light on the way out of the SNP. None of that happened. Did I dream all of that?
Well,
gosh, it seemed real.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I wasn't able to watch all of it because there's only a limit. There's a limit to how much I can take of this stuff. But I certainly didn't hear any mention of that particular issue. But anyway, you have a little video clip of people's reaction.
Well, I was looking for something on the internet. It's actually a few days ago. I did anticipate that the end was near for Nicola. And I went on and said, well, when she goes, how will I feel? I don't know, well, absolutely joyful. And I thought, well, I'll go on the internet and I'll find a little clip, just a few seconds, that illustrates this. And actually, Mike, it's some of your countrymen, it's some nice Ulster Scots singing Sweet Caroline at a football match. And I thought this rather summed up how I feel today.
So there we go.
That covers it for me. It's a moment that's so good, and I know I said that however bad your political leaders, the next one always makes you feel nostalgic for the one you've lost. And I know I said that even Liz Truss proved this to be true, but Rishi did. I think this is going to be the test case. This is going to be the case that really tests that rule, because she's done so much harm to Scotland. She's been involved in it becoming a different sort of place, divisive, divided, bitter. She's brought so much jealousy and animosity and narrowness and failure to the country. I can't imagine ever feeling much different about this day than I do right now.
Okay, thank you. Now let's move on to more serious matters then. And here's the Mail, and their headline here is Belgian footballer Arne Espel dies while playing for Winkelsport B after the goalkeeper collapsed on the pitch just seconds after saving a penalty. So let's have a look. There he is. Another sudden death amongst a young sports person. Well, the reason I wanted to mention this was this. The government has now responded to the petition calling for the government to investigate UK excess deaths not related to COVID. And the petition said on the week ending the 20th of October, the ONS reported excess deaths were 12.5% above the 5-year average, with only 717 deaths out of 12,861 involving COVID. This alarming excess death percentage needs investigating by the government, and the root cause laid out in a public report. So let's see what the government responded. A combination of factors has contributed to the number of excess deaths. The government is taking steps to address this and will announce further detail in the forthcoming major conditions strategy. OHID analysis shows that in England, for the week ending 20th of October, the leading causes of death contributing to the excess were deaths involving cardiovascular diseases. The highest levels of excess mortality were deaths involving heart failure and ischemic heart diseases. Deaths involving acute respiratory infections were 16% higher than expected. Deaths involving cancer, Parkinson's disease, other respiratory diseases, and dementia and Alzheimer's were lower than expected. They went on to say OHID estimates show that for deaths registered in England during the whole of 2022, deaths involving 4 conditions were all over 10% higher than expected. Heart failure, which was 15% higher, cirrhosis and other liver diseases 14% higher, diabetes 12% higher, and ischemic heart diseases 11% higher. So Debbie, maybe I could welcome you to the program and ask for your thoughts on this, because heart disease, of all kinds of heart disease, much higher than normal. People dropping dead on football pitches in increasing numbers, but still there's nothing to be concerned about.
No, nothing to be concerned about at all. And, a lot of people might remember that we interviewed Matt Letitia, and he spoke specifically about footballers and sportsmen and athletes that were collapsing and dying. He said he'd never in his whole career had one. And now all of these. I've also spoken at length to Fran Adamson, who's an advanced cardiac practitioner nurse, or was before she left the NHS. And she says that she remembers in her training that a consultant said to her, there's a 47-year-old man on the ward. Please take notice of this, because this is a very young patient and very, very unusual. So clearly, everything's going to be, of course, blamed on everything else. COVID itself, long COVID, lockups indeed, but never, ever will they look or want to look at the serious adverse reactions from the COVID-19 vaccine. So, we are all saying it and we can all see it. And clearly the government are taking no notice because they don't want to.
Indeed. David, let's